Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, another Jubilee 34 Blitz video, and now we're going to be taking on Normal Battle 3. So, this battle is a slightly typical stacking stage, except they made the centipede, or whatever it is, the lizard, I don't know, the snake, they made it kind of weak sauce. So it dies quicker than you would want it to, especially if it doesn't guard. So I think that's the biggest problem that I have had, because my units do too much damage before the nuke turn. I'm not sure if other people will have that same kind of difficulty, but it is what it is. That's what I get for being a sweaty whale, I guess. But Normal Battle 3 is still traditional, so let's go ahead and get the disclaimers out of the way. Disclaimer number 1 is your results may vary. Your box and my box looks very different, gear looks different, dupes look different, so take this video as a guide and then use the strategy to build with your own team that you have available. Disclaimer number 2 is these are the units I use for protection gauge, and these are the units I use for skill point gain. And disclaimer number 3 is please go back into your town and optimize your light building to maximize the damage your light nuker is going to do against the snake. But with that said, let's get started. Alright, Normal Battle 3 against the snake, who has defense and guard, not a lot of HP, and not a lot of defense to begin with. So what I ran into as a problem is that I would kill him too fast. We would just do straight up too much damage to him. So again, we have to make sure that our nuker is the only one with attack gear on. The starting hand is 2 green to 4 blue. Traditionally, you would use the light 3.0 team with like Raphael and Lumi and Milim, but they're all light units. They do way too much damage to this thing. It can't handle it. It will die before you're ready to nuke. So that's the problem I ran into. So we're going to try and circumvent that by using different units. Alright, so we're going with the stacking team. Still going to be using Raphael to nuke, but we put a lot of not light units around him to ensure that we don't do as much damage to this thing. Turn bonus is technically turn 5, but you still have to hit the 1.4 million cap, and I honestly can't be bothered, so I nuke on turn 6 with this team. The only thing you lose is the turn bonus with like 3,000 points or something, which to Sweat is a lot, but to people who don't care, doesn't matter, as long as you hit the 1.4. But we've got Protector Shuna, stacking Stun Strike and Pierce. Raphael got Stun and Pierce. The hero crit, Violet magic buff, Gaia with the alt buff, and then Blanc with the weakness strike. So let's go ahead and find where I'm going with this. Turn 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, it's the entire run. All right, never mind. All right, it's the entire run. Didn't realize that. Okay. So the first things first here is that, again, nobody has gear on, or attack gear, except for Raphael, because we want to minimize the damage this thing takes. Also, his 80% guard is actually more like 50%. And that 50 is like a very generous 50. So turn 1, we're bringing Guy in and Blanc in because they have either them or their supports have turn 2 protection trait. Guy is also going to convert those 2 greens turn 1. And we're going to send Raphael orbs first so he doesn't do like super max 200% orb damage here because we don't need that. And also, because he's not an EX unit, we don't have to worry too much about having him up front too often. So we got 2 stacks because of the traits. Awesome. And then we got an excellent orb change for Violet, who is on the team. So having the combination of Guy and Violet means that you're covered for almost any orb scenario. And you're also able to get out of most orb scenarios, even if you don't have any blues. Like to start out with, you can make it work with them together. It's just, do you have the points to make it work? So here again, sending Raphael first, that way we don't do max damage. We're going to send Guy last because he's physical. So yeah, like he's already down to half health and we're on turn 2. Like that's not great by any means. He's not tanky. This turn is kind of unfortunate. There's a bunch of greens. I just think we just kind of run with it. Also, the poison comes in on turn 3. Again, if you're looking to max your score out, you would have to dodge poison as well. and nuke on turn 5 and do 1.4 million damage. But, I mean, that's asking a lot for a lot of players. I don't expect a lot of people to do that. We could rewind here and get rid of the greens and then pray that we get some blues. So that's what we're going to do here, is we're going to rewind, get rid of the greens, and then we'll just hopefully pray for a full hand of blues on the rewind, either through orb changing or not. But we had to swap Raphael out, which is unfortunate, because we're going to have at least one stack here that we're not going to put on him. And we get a hand that we can orb change out of. So there we go. So we're going to use a stack of Shuna now, just so we can raise the skill cap of our points, so we can hold more going into the next turn. And then we'll have 2 more stacks to put on Raphael when he comes back on turn 4. So you can use the rewind to get out of a sticky situation like that. And now we have a couple alts, which technically we have Blanc. Like, we can swap them out for blues. Certainly. That is the power of Blanc, which is great. And I think that's exactly what we do here by getting the hero out. Also, you see that on turn 4, the snake also lowers our crit rate by 30%. So if you're really wanting to maximize your power and ensure that you guaranteed a crit, you're going to take Raphael out on that turn anyways. So here, we'll put the 2 stacks on. We've got the full hand of blues. We're looking good. We've got a few orbs for Raphael, and that's pretty much all we're going to need. And now we just have to wait till turn 6 to actually nuke with full power. That's the thing, is that on turn 5, we wouldn't have enough points, because we'd have to already have the alt, and we'd have to use the violet buff and then send Raphael away is the only way we'd be able to do that. But even then, like, I don't know if he would live. I just don't know. So here, we're going to get 1 more stack on, and then we can take Raphael out. Raphael out. I'm thinking hard. Alright, magic buff. Okay, so we're still going to use the magic buff early anyways. There we go. That doesn't apply to Guy, though, because he's physical, which is nice. And then we're going to bring Blanc in for Raphael. That's going to pull in a 3rd orange orb, which is kind of unfortunate. But again, we have Guy, and we have Violet, and we have the points for it. So, alt swap, orb, and then orb change. And that's going to get us max points, full hand of blues, and then we'll be ready to nuke on turn 6. We'll bring the hero in for Violet. That way nobody has the magic buff now, and we have a full hand of physical people who are not going to do a lot of damage here. So yeah, 700, even the guard, he does like 1,000 damage right there. Not terrible. And now on turn 6, we lost max turn bonus, but he also lost his defense, which makes it much easier to hit that 1.4 million cap. And now we'll just full on nuke. So we've used the alt buff from Guy. His physical thing doesn't apply to magic units. Plus, we're going to get the crit from the hero anyways. Does not matter. So, stack and stack. Alt buff is active, and we'll use the hero buff. We already have the magic buff on Raphael, so we're good there. So we'll use all the other big-time buffs, and we will full-on nuke with Raphael, and we're going to do like 2 million damage or something like that. Something huge. Yeah, look at that. Pretty good. So definitely hit the 1.4 cap. Again, missed out on max turn bonus, but not a super huge deal for people that don't care about it. And there we go. 134.6. Could it be better? Certainly. Do I want to make it better? Certainly not. Let's move on. Alright, another team that can do this and also hit max score, and it's actually, this is my highest scoring team, is the New Year's team. The almost full New Year's team. So Xion, Shinsha, Milim, Rimuru, Diablo, and then 2nd Anniversary Hinata. And this is just going to be building up the buffs with Hinata and Rimuru, getting his EX ult, and then making sure, one, we don't kill, because now, instead of not having that extra 60% damage buff from like the light team that we were just stacking with, now we have additional damage that we're doing that we need to contend with, which is why Shinsha and Milim straight up don't have supports either. I needed to lower their stats as much as possible to make this work, because we would end up killing way too fast, because they're all doing that extra 60% damage, and his guard, like, if he doesn't guard, like, you're doing a lot of HP, and that's not what you need. So we need to get Rimuru's EX ult fast, and the best way to do that is to guarantee that he gets all his orbs. So here, we're going to send the 3 orbs that are not Rimuru, and then, because Diablo gives away New Year's Blessing orbs to the highest attacker, we can then take Hinata out, or not have any Hinata orbs, and we can just give them all to Rimuru, and then make them all Rainbow. So we're going to get EX ult right there, we're going to get max points, max gauge, max protection gauge, and we just have to pray that we do not kill right here. There's a lot of times where he would not guard that 200% and he would straight up just delete himself. So here, we have 130 points. We're going to use the Rimuru buff plus the element buff from Hinata, and then we're pretty much going to hold. And we just need enough points. We need, what, 90... We need 115 points, I believe, right? So 55 plus 40 is 95, plus another 25 is 120 points is what we need. Alright, so here we're up to 96 points, and we can only send so many things here, right? We need, so there's max points right there, 1 hit, and then the passive points we get from Xion gets us to 130. So now we have enough to use the Diablo crit resistance down, 20%. That's really going to make a difference of our damage. When I don't use that, I do not hit the damage cap. I'm like 1.3 million or something like that. But with it, and everything else, I hit 1.5. So, Shinsha buff, Milim buff, Rimuru already has his own buff, and the element buff from Hinata. Let's use Xion now. Give himself the guaranteed crit and synergy, and then we will nuke with literally like 1 HP on the snake, and we do 1.5 there. So there we go. There's a much different way to do it. It actually takes a little bit more RNG, because you are more likely to kill him than you are to just not get the RNG for like blue orbs for that stacking team, but it's certainly doable with it. And my units aren't highly duped either. They have gear, but they're not like super duped up. All right, we're reaching into the barrel to do this. These are the substitute alternate teams that are definitely not going to get you that damage cap, but there's certainly teams that you can use with a bunch of units lying around. We're going to be using Fount of Wisdom Diablo, Shuna Hero, Coleus Rimuru, Light Lumi as the nuker, and then Coleus Violet to kind of get our damage up there. Again, this is not a super awesome team, but if you have just a random hodgepodge of stuff, then by all means make an attempt. But, I mean, turn 1, we have Lumi, who is our nuker, who is also able to orb change turn 1. Shuna and Violet are both basically changing oranges, so... But we also have Coleus Rimuru, who is able to convert his own orbs and make rainbows, which is going to give us a lot of gauge on top of everything else. It's just that since our nuker isn't an EX character, we don't need that many orbs for Lumi. We can get away with not having any rainbows for her, honestly, but it is what it is. And here, I mean, yeah, things don't really work the way we want it to. But sure, also someone's dog needs to shut up. I don't know if you guys can pick that up or not in the mic, but someone's dog is going crazy outside, and my window is open because I need to vent this room out because it smells like nerd. Ugh. All right, so Rimuru will come in. Now we've got to decide whether it's coming in for Lumi or if it's coming in for Violet, or we're just not going to worry about it and we're going to send 4 greens and get it out of the way, which looks like what we're doing. All right, so the rewind once again coming in to save us from terrible, terrible hands. Hopefully now we can orb change into a much better hand. Yeah, that looks doable. Alright, so we'll use the Violet orb change, and then we'll bring Shuna in for her orb change for that 1 orange. And we'll have, you know, we have two Lumi orbs. It works. We have just enough points to do it. Alright. So, Diablo is stacking alt resistance down, so it's not a damage, it's not like a direct damage buff on our units that's going to help, like, cause us to do more damage. What is that hand? Okay, well, that's funny. But it is going to help us do more damage on the nuke. It's just that Diablo being the first EX protector, his stacks are kind of weird. Like, he's only raising our cap by 30 points every time. His alt resistance down buff isn't that super impactful, but it can help us do more damage. Alright, so here, we used Coleus Rimuru to change his own orbs. We have 2 greens and an orange. Boom. And then, we don't need that much for Lumi, so we're going to rainbow these. We're going to get maximum gauge out of all these oranges. We're going to get the Lumi ult, and we're going to send it. Again, Lumi has the gear. No one else has attack gear. We're nuking on turn 6 with this team because there's no way that this team is going to do it on turn 5. Like, they don't have the damage output. And then the crit nerf comes in. Unfortunate, but we're just going to have to live with it because I wanted the ult. I could have pushed Lumi away and not put her on last turn, but it's fine. So here, we don't have Blanc, right? So we can't swap these ults out. So we'll just do this. And we'll swap out the other 2 units that actually don't really matter all that much. Well, Lumi matters a lot, but the other one doesn't. And it actually worked out for us because we can just use Rimuru's Orb Change here. We can't send the ult for Shuna because she'll do too much damage, even without gear on. So we're just going to have to live with ults now for one more turn at least. Just enough to make sure that we can use our buffs. Like, we're at 250, we're going to get up to 280k here, and that should be enough to use everything. We just need to have an orb change, which honestly, probably this 3 blues would help us. But we can also bring Lumi in and change it to 4 if you want. So, yeah, there we go. So, boom. Didn't really need to do that because we would have capped out on points anyways. It is what it is. It's not really that important. Okay, we're going to orb change. We're going to orb change a lot to get not a lot back. Right? We didn't have to do that. And we weren't going to get 2 stacks of Diablo unless we had a way to get rid of that ult. But now, on turn 6, we are ready to nuke. So we'll take Rimuru out, we'll bring Lumi in, we'll use the magic buff, the light buff, the crit buff, and then the alt buff from Shuna. And then we will go ahead and nuke for whatever amount of damage that we do. So 1, 2, 3, and yeah, we have just enough points to use the alt buff. The water resistance down from Shuna does not matter because we're not nuking with a water unit, but the alt power does. And we do a magical... How much damage? 300k? 400k? 533k. Alright, actually better than I remembered, but still not 1.4 million. But it is just a hodgepodge of units for you to attempt. Alright, the final run is another desperate grasp at straws and random units that you may have in your box. We're going to bring a green team, and we're going to nuke with Light Shuna, who does have an EX ult, by all means. It's just that we don't have a lot of buffs here. We're going to have the stacking element buff, we've got the crit damage and light buff, and then we've got the ult damage buff, and that's about it. So, honestly, like, this team has 1, 2 free-to-play units, an old unit that everyone should, pick up, an EX character who has been on quite a few banners if you've played for any amount of time. This is first anniversary Millum, and this is brand new Rimuru. So it's like, if people have been summoning for the Overlord collab, I hope that they have him, unless you got terribly shafted, in which case I'm sorry. But we do not take a lot of time to do this, because we already know that it's not going to be a highly damaging team. So this is like a throwaway, like, use what you got and just get a score and move on with your day. Don't spend too much time trying to be a sweat about this. So turn 1 actually really can't do anything, right? So we're just going to send these blues and get a stack of Rimuru. And then next turn we're going to pray that we get 3 orbs for somebody, that way we can bring Shuna in and steal, in which case we got 5 orbs for Millum, which works out very well. I mean, we need the EX ult with Shuna, and the way to do that is to get a lot of orbs for her. So here, we're going to steal them, and we're going to... Do I green buff here? I do green buff. Maybe a mistake, because we also nerfed the orange, but it's okay. We'll get extra skill points off of this, and we'll reset the steal as well. So it's not really going to matter, because we're just going to steal next turn anyways, because we have 123 points now. And again, we are a light unit. We're going to do extra damage against this snake, and we're getting the stacking light buff now. And look at all those blues. Look at all those blues. Thankfully, we have Isis. So, we're going to rewind. We're going to yoink. No, hold on. No, we're going to do that smarter. We're going to orb change into greens. Then we're going to yoink. Right? Yeah. Be smart about it, Joker. Come on, previous Joker. Alright, well, it doesn't really matter. Okay, as long as they change. Because we only had 2 Shuna orbs. It would have been better if we had 3. But we have Trya in the back, who can then change everything else around. So orb change, and we still have enough points left over. Not that it really matters, but now we have a lot of greens. Rimuru again, reset most of those skills, and we'll move on with our day. And this will get the EX ult. We'll send her first, that way we don't accidentally kill like that almost happened. And now, like, he's almost dead. There's nothing we can do. But we have an EX ult, and we have enough points to do what we need to do here. So, we're not even going to wait. We're just going to nuke. So, ult buff, crit buff, light buff, Rimuru buff, nuke. Like, we don't rewind here. Don't need to get fancy. Just do damage and go away. And that's going to be it for Normal Battle 3. I just start the outro now while we're doing this. So, there are a few teams that can do it, and there are a lot of teams that can't do it, but hopefully this video gave you an idea of what to do. 279 is a hilarious amount of damage for that team. But let me know if this video helped you. That's it from me. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.